Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, we'll be drafting the men's button down shirt. I want to say a big thank you to all my subscribers for the support and engagement on my channel. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. You guys are the VIPs. And to all those who watch my videos, I am humbled. Thank you guys so much and God bless you all. This side of the pattern will serve for the button extension and seam allowance. I will go ahead and impute our measurements. The formula to calculate the neck measurement is chest divided by 12 for the width and chest divided by 12 plus 0.25 inch for the depth. I'm working with a chest circumference of 45 inches and my client wants the shirt a little snugged around his neck, so I minus 0.25 inch from my measurements. So for the width of the neck, I used 3.5 inches and for the depth, I used 3.75 inches. The depth of my back neckline is half an inch with the same neck width as the front. I will square out these points. On the shoulder line, I will place half of my shoulder measurement. I'm working with a shoulder measurement of 21 inches and half of that is 10.5. I will square down this point. With my tape placed on half of my shoulder, I will come down 2 inches for my shoulder slope. I will connect this point back to the neckline with a straight line. To get the right front neck curve, at this corner of the square, I'm going to come up by 1 inch, and with these points, I will draw in my front neck curve and my back neck curve. With my tape placed on half of my shoulder, I will come down 11.25 inches for my armhole level. To get your armhole level, you divide your chest measurement by 4. So I'm just placing half of my shoulder measurement here to help me square out my points correctly. With my tape placed on the shoulder line, I will come down 19 inches for the half length level and 31 inches for the full length of the shirt, and I'll square out these points. So I'm just placing the same measurements here to enable me square out the points correctly. On the chest line on armhole level, I will place 1/4 of my chest measurement plus 1 inch for ease. On the waistline, I will place 1/4 of my waist measurement. I didn't add any ease. You can add to yours. On the hip line, I will go up by 2.5 inches. This is for the curves you see by the sides of shirts. And on this point, I will place 1/4 of my hip measurements and I will draw in my side seams. I will also draw in the curve from the 2.5 back into the hemline. I will find the midpoint and this point becomes my front chest level. I will square that out a little and on that point, I will come in by 1 inch. With these points, I will draw in my front armhole curve. Our front and back armhole levels are never the same for both male and female. And for this, I'll be making some adjustments on the shoulder line. So I'm going to go up by 1.5 inches and I'll come down by 1.5 inches. These lines will become the new front shoulder line and the new back shoulder line. The reason for this is to balance up the armhole level, remove any puffiness from the back armhole area as the back shoulder line will overlap to the front and prevent the shirt from rolling backwards. I will extend the armhole curve up to the new back shoulder line by aligning my ruler this way. Then I will measure what I have on the new front shoulder line from the armhole curve to the point where the line touches the neck curve. I will place this measurement on the back new shoulder line and redraw my back neck curve. With my tape placed on the shoulder line, I will come down 5.5 inches for the back yoke and I'll square out this point. On this line, I will come in by 1/2 inch. With this point, the chest point and the new back shoulder line, I will draw in my back armhole curve. At this point, we're almost done with the pattern drafting. I will go ahead and draw in my button extension. I used 1 inch for the button extension and 1.5 inches for the seam allowance. I will quickly do that before we continue. So guys, I have done that. The total inches I used for the button extension is 2.5 inches, 1 inch for the button extension and 1.5 inches for the seam allowance. I'll go ahead and trace out our back pattern, starting first with the back yoke and then the lower part of the back pattern. I traced the back center line up to the back yoke level, went round the back neck curve up to the back new shoulder line, traced around the back armhole and then the back yoke line. For the lower back of the back pattern, I will do the same, but I will trace from the back yoke line all the way down. So guys, I've traced out our pattern, the lower back and the back yoke. The back yoke is traced in full, although it's on fold here, and I indicated the 1.5 inch raise. I'll be adding a waist dart on the back of this shirt because of the fit it gives. That's why I didn't highlight my side seam. So you can skip that if you're not doing that, and go ahead and add your seam allowance. On the waistline, I will place 5.25 inches, half of bust span, just like we do in female garments. And from that point, I will go up by 6 inches and I'll come down by 6.5 inches. I will connect these points with a straight line. So I'm just placing the same measurement, 5.25 inches, to enable me get a straight line. On this line, I will place 1/2 inch on both sides for my dart intake and I will draw in my dart legs. I will add this 1 inch dart to 1/4 of my waist circumference and draw in my side seam. On the back chest level, on the armhole side, I will come down by 0.25 inch. I will connect this point back to the back chest level to soften that area and make it fit even better. I will go ahead and add seam allowance and cut out our pattern. At the upper side and the armhole, I used 1/2 inch. For the side seam and the hem of the shirt, I used 0.75 inch. Just like we did for the back, I'll go ahead and trace out the front because I'll be keeping these as a mock-up for other projects. But before then, I'll be adding some pockets to this shirt. With my tape placed on the shoulder line, I will come down 8.5 inches for the height of my pocket. You can also do 9 inches if you want. I will square out this point. From the center front line, I will go out by 2 inches. From that 2 inches point, I will place 5 inches for the pocket width and 5.5 inches for the pocket depth, and I will square out these points. I will find the midpoint of the pocket width, which is 2.5 inches. I will square it down. And on both sides of the pocket at the lower side, I will come up by 1/2 inch. I will connect these points to the center pocket line. So just go ahead and design your pockets the way you want it, which is exactly what I'm trying to do here. I'll go ahead and highlight my lines so that it can be more visible. This 1 inch here is for the fold over of the pocket. Once I'm done with this, I will trace out the front panel, add my seam allowance and cut out our pattern. So here are all my patterns traced out and seam allowance added. Here I have the pocket, the back yoke traced out in full, the lower part of the back pattern and the front panel of the shirt. For the front pattern, I traced on the new shoulder line, not on the original line. Please, it's important you note this. I will just show you guys the rest of the pattern, how it was traced. The extension on the pocket is the seam allowance for the overlap and is 1.5 inches. For the placement of the buttons, I like to do that when the shirt is already sewn. It's also up to you to decide how you want the buttons spaced. And for the shirt colors, that will be in another tutorial. So guys, we have come to the end of this tutorial. If you find it helpful, do not forget to like, share, comment, leave all your questions in the comment section, turn on your notifications so that you'll be notified when I upload the sewing part. And until my next one, a bientôt!